I'd like to call this meeting to order Monday, April 24th of the East China School District. If you'd please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, do you have anything you'd like to share? Nobody?
You do all the talking.
No, get your voice back. And I'm not going to do all the talking. There's no sense in you guys having to listen to this. So at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Suzanne. But would you mention about the St. Clair musical?
Yes, I will.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Pat. I hope you feel better soon. For the administration portion of number 2 on the agenda, I just wanted to mention what a great job St. Clair High School Theater Troupe did with Annie. It was really neat to see all the different grade levels, the students from elementary all the way up through high school performing on the stage, and they did a fabulous job. They even had a dog that joined them on stage, so congratulations to the St. Clair Theater Troupe. It was an outstanding performance. At this time, we need a motion for the consent agenda, approval of minutes, regular Board of Education meeting, March 20, 2023, the approval of payment of bills, the financial statement, and schedule of investments. A motion is needed.
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we will move to our department reports, and we'll start with Mr. Walling. Oh, you know what? Pardon me. Thank you for reminding me. Michael Walling, Mr. Walling, if you don't mind waiting, we're going to have Mrs. Tennisfoot from the St. Clair County RESA present this evening. She needs to get to the Alpinac board meeting as well, so we're moving her up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is such a sincere pleasure to be back in East China this evening. Thank you for affording me a little bit of your time to give a very broad, high-level overview of our very preliminary budget. Like you, we're still waiting for the exact state aid budgets to be actually become public and then voted upon. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about our 3 funds. As you know, we have 3 distinct separate funds. Unfortunately, money cannot be transferred between those 3 funds. So we have our general fund, our special education fund, and our CTE, or our career technical education fund. So within the general fund, if you poured over our multitudinous pages of budget, you'll notice probably the highest level of fluctuation within the general fund. That's because the bulk of those monies are grant funds. So we have a lot of fluctuation from year to year, both in revenue and expenditures. But those support things like our 31N grant, which we are certainly supportive of increasing and addressing our students' mental health needs. We know across the county, we have an increasing number of students that are facing significant mental health challenges, especially with anxiety and depression. 31N is an amazing program that allows us to place mental health providers within districts. What I love about it is it's not a cookie cutter program. So we can really tailor make the needs of the mental health provider to the district or to the school. And I know we've got some placed in East China and are very happy to do that. Within the general fund, another area is early childhood. Holy cow, has that exponentially increased since even 5 years ago. And given the expansion of universal pre-K that's coming, I only see that increasing in the future. That covers the gamut from free GSRP programs to resources and education for parents to early childhood screening. And I was going to give you a quiz tonight on the number. I gotta do it. All right. So in your head, I won't make you do a stand-up, hand-up here, I promise. But so what do you think is the total number of books that between the United Way contributions, Dolly Parton, and RESA that we've been able to provide to our families with children is ages birth to 5 over the last few years? Mr. Miller is puzzling over this intently. It's over 500,000. So obviously, yeah, we are really proud of that. We know early literacy is so critical to the success of our children, and so that's an ongoing expenditure that we are really thrilled about and proud of, quite frankly. I could go on. I'm trying to be brief, but our Story Walks is another community partnership that are amazing. If you've had a chance to see that, there are several popping up throughout the greater community. Marysville Park is probably the most recent one. If you're ever at Marysville Park, it's a great opportunity to read and walk together as a family. Also within our general fund, cybersecurity. I'm sure you are all painfully aware that K-12s are one of the top targets of hackers right now. Most recently, Rochester Community Schools had to close in order to protect their data. So from kind of an infrastructure standpoint, we've definitely been looking at what do we need to provide support, purchase to ensure that our cybersecurity is as high as it possibly can be. Most recently, our board approved the reconfiguration of a position so that we have a chief cybersecurity official, somebody who's on virtually all their job is going to be devoted to really staying current on the most recent developments in cybersecurity, both internally at RESA, but also as a support and resource for our local districts. So that's within general fund. With our special education fund, again, if you delve deeply into the details, you'll note that we're adding an additional classroom at Woodland. We know that we've got increasing need across the county, and so we are anticipating needing a classroom, teacher, and paras. Looking right now at the needs specifically before we identify the classroom, but we know we have to add at least one. Additionally, and I think this was prevalent before the pandemic, but unfortunately, the pandemic really exacerbated the number of children across the county that we're seeing with highly reactive behaviors. These are our children that just are not able to regulate their behavior. They need additional support, and we want to make sure that we have a full continuum of support services, everything from behaviorists that can push in and assist locals that way, to a center-based program where students who have more significant needs can come out for a short period, hopefully, and then be returned to their district with better regulation skills. So we are working on that. We have a number of plans in place. We are looking both for a short-term option so that we have a building that we can use, and then a longer-term solution, which potentially could involve adding a wing onto Woodland. Still looking at a couple options, but doing a ton of planning in that realm right now. And then last, but by no means least, CTE. I had the pleasure, a week ago Sunday, of welcoming our students from Skills USA, and I know you had a number of medal winners from East China. Congratulations. But it was awesome just to see all the students coming back, whether they medaled or not. That was an absolutely fantastic experience for them. We have a problem at Tech, and that's we're full. I mean, it's a great problem to have, right? And so we're looking at a whole host of solutions, everything from how can we partner better with our districts. East China is very fortunate that you have CTE programs at both high schools. Congratulations, that's awesome. We're also looking at how we can leverage the second year of our tech programs to have more work-based learning. Over the past year, we had over 500 students placed out on the workplace, both in long-term second-year placements as well as some job shadowing, so that continues to be an area we're looking at. I'm hoping that in the 24-25 school year we'll be able to add one more program in tech. We're looking at an area in the high bay area where we can get another classroom in. So definitely want to continue to expand that. And lastly, under the CTE umbrella is the CTMC, Career Technical Middle College, which I think is just a win-win for everybody. It's nice from the student perspective in that the students can go through the tech program and then they can go to SE4 and get 60 credits free by the time. The nice part of that too is the local district also receives largely all of the FTE. So it's really nice. It's a great opportunity for our students to get an associate's degree at zero cost to them. Having said all that, I would be remiss to say how much I appreciate the close partnership and relationship with Suzanne and the East China leadership team. This is an amazing district. I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, wink, wink. But this truly is just an amazing community of learning, and it is my pleasure as a superintendent at RESA to continue to collaborate. I look forward to continuing to support you in however I can personally and however RESA as an organization can. So having said the fastest, most concise overview ever, are there any questions about RESA programming or budgets that I might answer for you this evening?
I got it.
No questions? All right, thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for bumping me up
Yeah.
on the agenda. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, Mrs. Tashwood.
And now we'll move to our department reports, starting with Mr. Walling.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to provide a quick update on a curriculum-based initiative that the district is working on establishing for the 23-24 school year in an effort to create a framework of support for all students and to ensure consistency across the district. We are creating or are in the process of creating an MTSS team, which is also known as a multi-tiered systems of support. This team will be composed of members from across the district, and we will focus our work on curriculum development, formative assessment, utilizing data, creating and monitoring intervention systems. We're currently working through some internal processes in an effort to establish a full team, and we'll begin the initial planning for the 23-24 school year once that work or once that planning has been completed. Thank you.
Hi. The only thing to report from operations is that we received some new cafeteria tables at Gearing that was funded by a grant. They came in last week. The custodians helped with getting them in the schools, and then we're going to bring the old ones back to here to be disposed of because of the construction that's going on at Gearing. We weren't able to get a dumpster in there, so glad to report that's the first of the elementary schools to receive some new cafeteria tables.
Good evening. I have one update from the business office I wanted to share. We had one new fundraiser submission this week. Bell River PTO is pre-selling flowers to help with field trips and assemblies. So I'm sure you can find that flyer on their website.
Good evening, everybody. Just one quick update, and this is actually for our parents who might be watching the board meeting. Skyward, which is our student information system, has a portal for our parents to log into so they can see student progress. Skyward, by the end of May 5th, is going to be making and you just heard Mrs. Siniswood talk about cybersecurity, but they're going to make a password security change for parents. You are going to be required to meet a minimum requirement for passwords. Not every parent is affected, but by the end of the day, May 5th, if your password isn't strong enough, according to the new guidelines that they put in place, you will receive a pop-up at your login and be required to change your password. So I have already put out one message to the parents through Skyward. I'm going to put two more out before this happens just to kind of give them a heads up. Okay.
Good evening. I have nothing new to share this month.
Thank you very much. The number 5 item on our agenda is committee reports. I have 2 committee reports to give tonight, 2 updates. The first one is the Budget Subcommittee met on April 17th. The discussions during that committee meeting were around the negotiations. An update was provided. We discussed the operating mills renewal and sinking fund election that will be upcoming in the months. We looked at the R2 timeline, and we discussed the budget workshop and set the date for that in the first week of June. That's the annual budget workshop the East China School District does. That'll be the first week of June. My second update is for the election committee to work on the operating mills renewal and the sinking fund election. And our first meeting date is May 1st at 4 p.m. Next on our agenda are the Bond 2020 discussion and action items. We will be taking action after each of the items on our agenda tonight. And the first one is the Marine City High School Abatement Services, Mr. Kurt Grizelko.
In order to prepare for the upcoming Marine City High School renovations, specifications were developed to conduct the necessary abatement. In conjunction with Arch Environmental, bids were solicited for the Marine City High School abatement services. Post-bid interview was conducted with the lowest bidder As a result of this interview process, it is being recommended that Global Green Services Group LLC be awarded the contract. Per administration recommendation, we request that the Board of Education approve the bid by Global Green Services Group in the amount of $96,800 for the Marine City High School renovations.
Are there any questions for Mr. Grzelka? Seeing none, the recommendation again is per administration recommendation. The Board of Education approves the bid by Global Green Services Group, LLC, in the amount of $96,800 for the Marine City High School renovations abatement. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, the same sign. The motion carries. Thank you. Next, Bond 2020 discussion and action items is the Bell River School Site Work and Paving Bid Pack Number 1.
Thank you. Due to the deteriorated condition of the Bell River sidewalks and parking lots, bids were solicited for the asphalt and cement replacement at Bell River Elementary School. The bid opening was held on April 14th. The following week, bids were reviewed and a post-bid interview was conducted with the lowest bidders. As a result of this interview process, it's being recommended that the lowest bidder be awarded the contract. Per administration recommendation, we request that the board approve the bid by Body Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $589,364 for the Bell River Elementary School Site Paving and Cement Bid Pack 1 project.
Are there any questions for Mr. Grzelka on the bid pack for Bell River? No? Okay, again, reading the recommended action. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the bid by Body Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $589,364 for the Bell River Elementary School Site Bid Pack 1 project. A motion is needed.
So moved. Support.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our Bond 2020 items is black and white laser multifunction copiers. Mr. Craig Headley.
Good evening, everybody. I put a little bit of detail in the recommendation, but I won't go through the whole thing. Bottom line is, it's time, part of our 2020 bond issue for technology is to replace our copiers district-wide. And then we'll see some smiles out in the audience from the principals. But we have got our money's worth out of our copiers. We still have copiers in this district that have been running since 2011. Some have over 10 million copies, but they are at the point of failing. So this is perfect opportunity, perfect timing. So, couple things that we're going to put in place. We are going to get out of the printer business and we're going all copiers. So we're going with whether it's a color copier machine or a black and white copy machine. We've worked with Rico, one of our companies, with our copiers, went through everything that we had here in the district, determined that there were some that we need to get rid of. And you guys have heard me tell us before that we're going to a find me, follow me type printing solution. So we came up with a couple solutions for the buildings. One is full-size copiers, one is a desktop-size copiers that all can participate in this find me, follow me printing, print to the cloud, walk up to any copier in the district, and print out your copy. So working through the state of Michigan bid, this particular recommendation is for 25 copiers, again, a desktop or full-size version. 25 copiers, we talked to the principals, we've talked to office staff, and I think we have a good solution for each building. So the recommendation tonight would be for the board to approve, and Mrs. Sybula will read it, I guess.
So the recommended action, per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the bid to Rico USA for 14 full-size and 11 desktop copiers with paper cut software in the total amount of $157,043.75. A motion is needed.
So moved. Support.
Any Any comments or questions?
I do have a question. I'm sorry.
No.
Is each building going to get one full size and one desktop, and then?
At a minimum, yes.
At a minimum.
So, yeah, talking to the principals, we kind of went through the entire building with this new way of printing. We went through their layout, location, and they determined what they felt would be best for them.
Okay.
But every building's going to get a little bit of both, so.
All right, thanks, Craig.
Yep.
All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. Craig, what are you doing with the old ones?
So the ones that, ironically enough, we are actually going to get some money back. They're going to buy our old ones, surprisingly enough.
Awesome.
I can't believe it, but they've offered us a buyback, so we'll take it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Our next item is classroom sit-stand mobile desks.
So now we're getting to some exciting stuff. You've also heard me talk about pilot classrooms, and we now have 44 pilot classrooms, and I have a waiting list of 12 staff members that are ready to go right now. We started that project back in December, and we've received some great feedback. We've worked with the staff. They've came up, have asked some tremendous questions, and we are ready now this summer to install the rest of the classrooms in the district. So one of the key components with this and the next recommendation we'll talk about, one of the key components is making our classroom teachers mobile. So they'll be able to, and again, it's kind of like the setup just like you see in the back with a smart TV with an adjustable mount. But a big component of that is the sit-stand desk that we talked about, and it's actually that gray desk back there, or gray rolling desk back there, that's going to house a 2-in-1 Chromebook, and then a whole lot of other things that they can have and teach mobily through the classroom. So, and again, so this will outfit the rest of our classrooms, and the recommendation is to outfit the rest of the classrooms is 214 units, and you can see again, we'll let Mrs. Sugula.
Okay, the recommended action for administration recommendation. The Board of Education approves the bid to Yo and Yo Technology for 214 Ergotron Learn Fit sit-stand desks with storage bin in the total amount of $99,938. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is classroom smart TV interactive displays and motorized adjustable wall mounts.
Yeah. So the final large pieces to this classroom, you heard me talk about the pilot rooms, is exactly what I showed you guys earlier. It's a 75-inch 4K touchscreen television and a adjustable mount that has gone very well as far as our pilot room goes, but we want to outfit the rest of those. And I guess the one thing I want to point out, there's two different numbers, one for the amount of TVs, one for the number of the motorized adjustable mounts. We have some in stock already. We're not putting the permanent motorized mounts in a building like Gearing. We want to outfit Gearing with the TVs, but we're going to put them on actually rolling carts just like that. So we don't have to drill into the wall, since that building eventually will not belong to us anymore. So that's why the difference in the numbers.
Okay. The recommended action. For administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the bid to Bloom for 219 Smartboard MX075-V4 interactive displays and 149 e-box motorized height adjustable wall mounts in a total amount of $821,416. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. All right, we'll now move to our information and discussion items. Unfortunately, Jerry from Hawk Construction was ill and will not be able to be here tonight to give us the Bond 2020 update, but they'll return for the next board meeting. Brenda already gave the budget resolution from RISA. for number B, or letter B. So that moves us to letter C, which is me. And I am going to present the vaping litigation resolution. And I'm going to just read a summary, and then I have the recommendation for later in the board meeting under action items. This is a timely action item. That's why it's being presented and voted on the same evening. It needs to be in to the attorneys by the 18th of May, which is prior to our next board meeting. So. In 2019, several public schools sued Juul Labs Incorporated and other producers of vaping products in a California federal court. The lawsuit turned into a nationwide effort, and currently over 100 Michigan schools are included in the lawsuit. The lawsuit alleges that the defendants fraudulently and intentionally marketed their products to children. The lawsuit seeks monetary damages incurred by schools related to the vaping epidemic created by the defendants. For future damages, the focus is on obtaining compensation for schools to appropriately handle the vaping epidemic going forward without having to take money out of their general funds. The focus is on deterrence, support, and education. There is no cost to the district to join this lawsuit. The attorneys representing the district will receive payment on a contingent fee basis, meaning any fees or costs will be paid through a financial recovery paid by the defendants. So the recommendation this evening that I am proposing is that the administration would like the board to approve the resolution to join the marketing vaping products to students lawsuit, and authorizes and directs me to sign the attorney-client fee contract on behalf of the school district. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. There's other districts within our county that have also joined in this lawsuit, and it's purely to receive the monetary compensation to help us combat the
Pay for
effects
the-
that we're seeing.
Sensors and...
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Troon doing this for us? Okay.
Yes.
So we have our cost for Troon, but we expect a more from the settlement than our cost?
Correct. Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is PA 152 of 2011 Resolution 8020. Mrs. Angie Gleason.
Good evening. In 2011, Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act, or Act 152 of 2011, created a new law that limits the amount public employers can pay for employee medical benefit plans. The act was effective September 27th of 2011. There are annual hard caps set by the state treasurer and updated for inflation each year. Employers can accept these hard cap limits or elect to contribute 80% of the coverage. The 2023 rates for hard caps and our current 80% contributions can be found on the table. It's listed by a single person coverage, two-person coverage, as well as family coverage. And as you can see in the last column there, that the hard cap is higher than the 80% contribution. Each China school district has selected the 80% contribution since 2011. And if we maintain that same 80% contribution selection, the district will incur savings of over $454,000 annually. The administration recommends we maintain our 80% contribution for the PA 152 requirement, which will be on the May agenda for decision. Are there any questions? Okay, I have the next item too, and this is in regards to our 2015 debt balance. The 2015 School Bus Series 1 bonds had a final maturity date of May 1st, 2022. These bonds have been paid in full, and there is a remaining balance of approximately $66,523 in that 2015 debt retirement fund. So this is the cash that's used to pay the principal and interest payments that we've fulfilled. This balance, if we transfer it, can be used to pay the principal and interest on the district's 2018 school bus bond Series 2. It's recommended that the board approve the transfer of the 2015 school bus Series 1 debt retirement funds to the 2018 school bus Series 2 debt retirement funds, also at the May meeting. Are there any questions? Okay, and then last up for me is the food service contract renewal with Chartwells. As required by the Michigan Department of Education, school districts must submit a formal request for proposal for food service management company services every 5 years. This process was conducted in 2019, resulting in a contract award to Chartwells on July 1st of 2019. Following the initial contract year, MDE allows up to 4 additional one-year renewals. And the upcoming 2023-2024 school year is the 4th renewal year. There are 3 main items that are changes in this renewal. The first is the monthly administrative fee. Our current monthly administrative fee is $7,942. And we pay that over for 10 months. So it's not 12, even though it says annually, it's just 10 months that we cover that. So the increase is 3.85%. So it takes the $7,942 up to $8,247. And it's a whopping $3,000.50 increase annually for the monthly administrative fees. The second, over to the right, is the per meal management fee. That one also is incurring a 3.85% increase. In 2023, we paid 0.0563 cents per meal, and then in 23-24, it will jump to 0.0584, and based on our current daily participation, it is a whole $832 increase there. And then the third item is the change in the equivalent meal factor. That one does have an increase of 18.04%, and that's per the USDA MDA guidelines. It's increasing it from $3.99 per meal to $4.71. Now, this actually is in our favor. It's a little confusing because you see the increase per meal, but it's in our favor. This factor is used when a patron chooses to purchase meals a la carte. So they might buy water, they might buy fries, and they'll add up all those a la carte items, and when the total purchase reaches $4.71, then we're charged the meal management fee. So it's going to take more a la carte items to charge the 0.0584 cents.
I got it.
The fourth renewal year will also be an action item at the May board meeting. Are there any questions about the food service contract renewal?
How much is a kid's meal?
That's a great question. I bet you the parents can answer it. I don't know. It's been a bit for me.
How many a la carte meals are there?
I don't have that. I know that our breakfast and lunch is about 2,264 meals. So
18% is pretty high.
But it's in our favor.
That's in our favor.
I don't know, 18% increase, I don't know if that's in anyone's favor, right?
Well, we'll pay less per meal management fees because it's going to take 21 or 72 more cents to get there.
That's separate from like the type 1 meal, is that a different process?
That's considered one of the meals. Yeah, so a purchase of a type 1 meal would equate to a per meal management fee of 0.0584 cents. Any Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Next is curriculum grant purchases, Mr. Michael Walling.
Good evening again. I have 3 items for discussion that will be put to a vote for action in the May meeting. The first item is the purchase of the Raptor Technologies visitor software. So the district is in receipt of Section 97 funding, which comes through the School State Aid Act, which is intended for improving school safety. Allowable expenditures under this section can include safety infrastructure and technology associated with that. In an effort to solidify our infrastructure and systems that are in place around school safety and security, it was determined that the Raptor Technologies program represented the gold standard in both school safety and visitor management. This system represents a proprietary technology that integrates with our student information system and would be available at each of our district's buildings. Basically, it kind of has 2 folds in terms of its application. The first one would be to monitor the visitors that come into the building. The second one would be to help with background checks for those individuals that are coming into our buildings. And then it can also help with attendance at the secondary level. And it's basically a management piece that couples with Skyward at this point to help us to accomplish those pieces. So, any questions on that?
When you say it monitors visitors, I mean, what exactly routine?
So it's kind of twofold. So once we get our secure vestibules in place that have the buzz-in system, basically, it will allow us to quickly scan the identification of the individuals that are attempting to enter the building, and it basically conducts an on-site background check for those individuals, just to A, ensure that they would be permitted in a public school, and B, to log that they were entering into the building. Any other questions?
So we'll be purchasing the equipment?
Yeah, so there's some equipment, and then there's also there's some annual software technology pieces that will come with that that will be funded through additional school state aid payments on an annual basis. Roughly 15% of the total will be a recurring amount, but the bulk of it is paid up front with the devices themselves.
Will this be done in the fall, Mike?
That's the intent. And we'll work with the buildings themselves and Craig and his department to kind of coordinate all of that, because obviously each of our buildings are in different spots in terms of where they're at with the bond work. So as soon as we're able. Anything else for that one? Okay. The next item for discussion is the purchase of economics and government textbooks and licenses. The district is in receipt of ESSER 2 funding to be utilized in accordance with the stakeholder surveys that have been conducted at the district level. On these surveys, updated curriculum sources were noted as one of the top priorities. In working with our teaching staff of these courses, we conducted a curriculum and programmatic review of available resources. So we usually shoot for at least 3, sometimes 4 different sources for our staff to look through, pilot, trial, reach out to other districts that utilize. We kind of follow a similar process regardless of the subject area. Following that review, TCI was selected as the top choice, which is actually what we currently have. So this would just be a renewal of the resources and an update of the resources that we currently have for staff and students. Any questions of it? And then the third one, I mentioned this at the last board meeting, kind of highlighting some of the curriculum features and improvements that we're making, but the next one is for discussion is the purchase of new microscopes across the district for grades 6 through 12. So again, the district is in receipt of ESSER 2 and 3 funding to be used in accordance with the stakeholder surveys that have been conducted. Throughout those surveys, updated materials, lab equipment, and resources were noted among some of the top priorities. In working with a group of our secondary science teaching staff, we conducted a review of available microscopes for the middle school and high school levels that are available on the market. Following that review, Ben's Microscopes was selected as the top choice for new microscope purchases across the district. The nice thing with Ben's is the last large purchase that we made was actually through the same company. They're a local company who services their microscopes, unlike a lot of the other science catalog type companies that you would order through, and then if you had issues, you'd have to kind of outsource that to someone else. Ben's works directly with the school districts to both implement and then to conduct the maintenance along the way of those. So that'll be nice. Any questions on that one?
That's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wally.
Thanks, Mike.
At this time, the board will be going into closed session, that the Board of Education goes into closed session pursuant to Section 8 of the Opens Meeting Act, Act 267 of 1976, board discussion connected to the discipline of a student and negotiations of a collective bargaining agreement. A roll call vote is needed. Mrs. Krantz?
Yeah, motion is needed.
Oh, I'm sorry. A motion is needed.
So moved. Support.
Any comments or questions? A roll call vote is needed. Thank you.
Secretary Issarat?
Yes.
Treasurer Cedar?
Yes.
Trustee Wester?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Becker?
Yes.
Vice President Viva?
Yes.
Motion passes, and we'll be going into closed session. When we return, we have agenda items 9, 10, and 11. Thank you. At this time, a motion is needed to return to open session.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are now back in open session. Item number 9 on our agenda, recognitions of persons wishing to address this board. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address any questions or comments to the board. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. The presiding officer will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. We have one green card this evening, Dustin DeSnyder.
Catch it for batteries.
You're next.
Okay.
Hello? All right, kind of a bummer, I missed last meeting. I heard we hired a new special administration, or special education administrator. Much needed. She said that we tripled in the last 5 years. And with so many kids training in services falling through the cracks, laws being broken, rights being trampled upon, records not being kept over the last several years. Much, much needed. Finally, a win for special education in East China School District. Hopefully this lady is superwoman because it needs it. I do have one huge question though. We have a special education department. It's listed on the agenda here for departments. Where are they? Why do we not have special education department over here? I will argue that they are just as important, if not more important, than the finance, technology, no offense, any of that right there. These are students. The population has tripled in 5 years, yet they can't get a seat at the table. It's very demoralizing, and it just kind of shows where special education is regarded to in this district right now. It's kind of like the Bruno of East China School District. No one wants to talk about it. Ms. Demick said in the last meeting that, you know, the new special education administrator, I'm sorry, I forgot her name, was going to be in charge of programs and 504s and ELLs. I would love to hear about these programs. I would love to hear about training, if any, that they have gotten. Why do they not have a seat at the table? I also recently attended Coffee with the Superintendent. It was essentially a tour of the new facilities, quite the spectacle. We even got armed security throughout the whole tour. Day after a bomb threat, and we got armed security the whole time here, so it was nice to feel safe. But I've been to more coffee with the superintendents than anyone, minus Ms. Becker, in this room when it was packed over the last 4 years, without a doubt. They have always been open forums. You can ask any question you want, and, you know, get a chance to have the superintendent answer. That didn't happen last time. I was told at the end I could ask questions. She didn't answer any of them. Might I suggest you change the name or change it up somehow, saying Coffee with Superintendent, tour questions only, something like that? Because it's kind of confusing. If you want contentious dialogue, go to one of those where they're talking about raising your taxes for the new schools and everything else in 2019, and senior citizens show up. You talk about some craziness right there. They got very testy with those. Couple other things I want to note. Recently being on ECSD's website, searched all over to find an ADA coordinator for East China School District. Should be easy to find. What if you have a complaint? It's not. It's buried. I believe it's in one of the student handbooks, buried somewhere. The search function doesn't pull up anything when you do ADA. So if someone's being discriminated against, a lot of times it's a parent looking, not the student. They're going to go look through the student handbook. Why is that not accessible on the website? If someone is a racist and makes racial threats against someone, where do they get that information, where to report that? It's not on the website, not easily found at least. It's buried in a document that's not even searchable. What if they go after one of our LGBTQ friends or students? Good luck finding it. Good luck reporting it, because it's not nowhere where it should be. Our kids, our students deserve better. That should be an easy fix that should definitely be done. Let's see here. A couple other things I want you to put in your notes. Seclusion is happening at Pine River Elementary School. So disappointing and sickening, to be honest. This is where training comes in. Our staff deserves this training. It needs to happen. Any and all instances must be documented in writing and reported to the Michigan Department of Education periodically. Can't say a fact whether or not they have been reported, but I would recommend that you make a call in the morning and making sure these instances are being done. And finally, one second. Not sure if you saw, but both St. Clair and Port Huron have or are in the process of building ADA and handicap accessible playgrounds. ECSD has 0. Just a heads up, I'm looking to change that. Thank you.
At this time, we'll move to item number 10, our action items. The first one is the vape marketing to students lawsuit. I want to make a clarification before I read this recommendation. The attorneys that are handling this case are France attorneys out of California, and Troon is facilitating it for Michigan schools. So that question was asked by a board member, and I just wanted to provide clarification. There are no costs to the school district for this lawsuit. So the recommended action, per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the resolution to join the marketing vaping products to students lawsuit and authorizes and directs the superintendent to sign the attorney-client fee contract on behalf of the school district. And motion is needed.
So moved?
Support.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Our second action item, letter B, per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the bid by Great Lakes Furniture Supply for the purchase of cafeteria tables for Bell River, Palms, and Pine River Elementary Schools in the amount of $83,634. A motion is needed.
So moved. Support.
Any comments or questions?
I have one question. Kirk said he was just going to bring him here and put him in a dumpster. Can you put them on the free side or something if somebody could use them?
I'm not sure if we're able to do that, but I'll check
Okay,
into
you know,
it.
just
Okay.
rather than having to pay to have them taken away, if somebody else
Yep.
could use them.
Yep, I'll check into it. There might be some liability issue there.
Oh,
for
okay.
selling of the properties, but I will check. Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Our last action item, C, per administration recommendation, the Board of Education accepts the recommendation for student 2022-03 as presented at the April 24th, 2023 student discipline hearing. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. That is it for our agenda items. We just need a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne.
You're welcome. I hope you feel better.